winter gives way to spring. So excited to be here, and I think it's a good time for Wheeling and all the things that are happening. Really excited to be downtown. Having a great time working with the staff here at Wheeling Heritage. They've been so warm and welcoming, as many of you have already met and interacted with them many times, but they're great, and they're doing really, really good and important work. As well as the board has been great and open to new things. So it's been exciting. The first 2 months is just trying to get your feet wet and figure everything out. It's totally different work than what I've done in the past.
Yeah, so briefly, you came from Ogilvy Park. You were a long-time Ogilvy employee, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I worked in Wilson Lodge for many years in the hotel business, mostly sales and conference services. And so that was great. I love events, which we do events here too. So there's ties to both. But yeah, I worked there for about 20 years in the hotel and got a lot of experience there. And Ogilvy is a great place, and the city of Wheeling is lucky to have both Wheeling Park and Ogilvy.
And I say this all the time. I mean, I think when, for all of us who are born and raised here in Wheeling or in Ohio County, I think we take Ogilvy and Wheeling Park for granted. But if I'm not mistaken, Ogilvy and Wheeling Park are probably the only self-sufficient, municipal parks in the country. They're really a true gem that we have here.
Well, absolutely. You won't find any other self-sustaining municipal park systems like Ogilvy and Wheeling Park. So having the pleasure of working for them for years, I gained so much experience and met so many people. It's a great thing for Wheeling. And so if you have a chance, support your parks and go use them. They're great.
But Scott, going forward here at Wheeling Heritage, what are some of the plans, or what are some of the ideas that you're able to share with us? What do you see happening, in the next year or two? What kind of things do you think you're going to tackle at Wheeling Heritage coming up?
Well, the first thing we needed to do out of the gate is to get our programming back up and running. With COVID, the last couple of years, and the way things have been, we had to put a damper on all of our programming, things that we would normally be doing. So one of the exciting things we did this past week was, if you drive around town, you'll see our Volunteer Wheeling, our group, went around and showed a lot of love to our old buildings, so that there's hearts made by different school children and different volunteers on the buildings with little messages. So if you get around, go look at that. And if you're interested in being a member of Volunteer Wheeling too, certainly call our office. So that was good. So we did that, and we also have our Show of Hands is coming back live. We're really excited about that. We're accepting applications through this Friday, and the next Show of Hands will be March 30th. So getting that back up and running. They did a virtual last year, but so exciting to get that back, where we're helping small businesses in our community.
And Show of Hands is something that started, I don't know, roughly 5 years ago, I want to say, ballpark. I can remember going to one of the first ones. And basically, for our listeners, what Show of Hands is, it's an event where you can go, and you usually have 3 businesses that make some sort of a pitch. I think you pay $5 to get in the door. And you can make a bigger donation. But there's typically roughly 3 businesses that make some sort of a pitch. And then you vote for which idea or which business you like the best. And that business gets all the money that was raised at the door. They're sponsors. So these businesses oftentimes, which are usually young businesses that are just getting started, oftentimes they can get a few $1,000s from coming to Show of Hands, and that's a lot of money for a young business that's just getting started. That business may provide a restaurant with their first oven or something like that. But that Show of Hands has helped countless businesses now over the years. And anytime I go to a Show of Hands event, there's just a sense of excitement in the room as to what's going on in Wheeling, what the possibilities are, and excitement that we have these new businesses. And one of these new businesses at every Show of Hands event is going to walk away with a check.
Mm-hmm. It's an exciting event, and we're so thankful for our sponsors and everybody's support in the community. But it's an exciting event when you walk in. You're right, the feeling is there. You're getting all the feels, and somebody's walking away with a nice check to help them further their business.
Yeah, so
not only that, if I can interrupt for just a second, it's not just the people that win. The other people are still in business as well, or getting ready to open their business. So it's a way for them to address a large crowd and tell a large influential crowd and tell them about their upcoming business, even if they don't win. And
that's a good point. Even if the businesses don't win, they still get a lot of free advertising just from showing up there.
yes, and there's
Very good point, Dean.
There's also an opportunity while people are voting and putting their vote in standing in line and maybe getting a drink, going to the restroom, whatever, that they open up the microphone to anyone who wants to come up and just pitch their business. They're not trying to win a contest. They're not trying to gain any money. They're just, hey, everybody, listen to me talk about my business for a minute or 2 minutes, or their event, anything that's going on. So it's a very inclusive, welcoming, fun event.
Yeah, it's a great event. It's great to get your name out there, and it's a great way for the community to get together. And we're hoping, now as the COVID numbers change and drop a little bit, that people get back together again and start interacting and support their community. So I think it's a great event. We've also got another event. We're starting our Artist Spotlight series. So if people don't know, most do, but we have two shops here, one at the Artisan Center at 1400 Main Street, and then another one at the Ogilvy Resort. So we have two shops, and we feature, artists from West Virginia, and glass, jewelry, artwork, and so we're trying to spotlight some of these artists. And so the first one will be Mindy Yarbrough, and she'll be here on March the 4th, from 5 to 7. And so she'll get to talk about what she does, and people will get to interact with her. So we're trying to get a spotlight on our artists that we have here in the shops.
And Scott, what other things I don't know if you can reveal any of your plans, or if but what other things do you guys have coming up over the next few years, or what kind of ideas or things that you guys want to run with and make happen here in the city of Wheeling under the Wheeling Heritage umbrella?
Well, there's lots of projects. I don't know how deep into it I can get, but, I certainly want to look at, we have, as people have probably seen, we have a Wheeling Heritage Gateway project that we're partnering, trying to receive some funding for that. So hopefully seeing that move forward will be a big part of what we're doing over the next couple of years. Our shop here at the Artisan Center, hoping to move that to the first floor. I think it's always good when you can have a shop on the first floor with street access, giving it more visibility. And so looking at that.
I've been to the shop, which is it on the second floor or third floor?
On the second floor.
Second floor. So I've been there numerous times. There's a lot of really neat Wheeling knickknacks there. But I think a lot of people don't even realize, that store's there, being up on the second floor. So you guys are going to move it down to the first floor in a location that's more visible. Is that?
That's the hope, is that we'll move it to the first floor in a location that's more visible, and partners with, the River City there, so people can eat and shop at the same time. And then hopefully the second floor would become office space or some sort of an opportunity for another tenant to come in and enjoy this corner.
So, I think that's an exciting change. I was just at River City last night after our city council meeting, having dinner with my friend and co-host Dean Connors. So that's just one more small improvement that's being made in downtown Wheeling. But is there anything else you want to mention, or anything else you want to talk about while we have you on the phone?
Well, most of it, is a planning process, and that's what I'm in right now. We're looking at, when I came in, part of the opportunity is to do a strategic plan. So our strategic plan is phasing out the one that has already been done, and we're looking at getting a new one, and that's going to be our roadmap forward onto what we're going to do. So we're just putting a lot of pieces of that in place right now, and also coming up with new events and things like that. So for this year, that's getting my feet wet. That's probably the scope of it. And then as we unfold that strategic plan, then things should just go from there.
As a new board member to this board, I had no idea what Wheeling Heritage did until I started to get involved. And it's pretty, they got some pretty big, I guess I should say I still haven't fully grasped that I'm on this board. Like, in the first meeting, I just sat there and went, we're voting on stuff. I'm going, I don't know what we're talking about here. But they've got some pretty awesome plans and ideas that are some bigger, it's way bigger than we're going to put some hearts on buildings. And it's
definitely
huge stuff. Nothing against that little decorative thing. I think it's kind of cool. But it's a board I'm proud to be on, and I look forward to getting more involved.
We're so happy for your support. And, we do a lot of things. Wheeling Heritage, one of the questions when I was hired, they asked me, well, what does Wheeling Heritage do? What's so multifaceted? I mean, we didn't talk about it today, but we talk to people every day about moving to Wheeling. We've done a lot of the studies that people can use, the housing studies. So we're trying to fulfill our mission about being a catalyst for the revitalization of Wheeling. So people can take those studies of housing and say, okay, here's where a starting point is. We're talking to people on the phone today, about relocating from California to Wheeling and East Wheeling, people buying homes and renovating them. So all those conversations are being had here on a daily basis. So there's a lot going on.
Well, Scott, if you don't have anything else, I just one more time want to say congratulations on your relatively new appointment, and we very much appreciate you calling in and appreciate everything you're doing and will continue to do for the city of Wheeling.
Sounds good. Thanks. Everybody have a good day. Thanks for having me on.
You too.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Scott.
See you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
And Dean, I had forgotten, you are one of the newly appointed board members at Wheeling Heritage, so congratulations on that appointment.
Thank you.
Again, I know Wheeling Heritage is a group, is an organization that does a lot of good things, and I think they're in good hands with Scott, with some of the other employees of Wheeling Heritage, and with a relatively big and impressive group of people that are on the board.
Yeah, they've got a big agenda as well. There's, again, things I'm not sure what I'm at liberty to talk about, so I'm not going to talk about anything because I'm sure that some of it's not supposed to be out there. But it's all positive. It's all positive things for Wheeling, the entire Wheeling area. A lot of it's downtown, but it's the whole Wheeling area. And just to go back real quick to paint maybe a little better picture for people, because he was throwing out the address of the place. We're talking about River City Restaurant, that building. The offices for Wheeling Heritage are currently on the second floor, as well as that artisan shop.
Correct.
So what they're going to do is move that down to the first floor. The seating area of River City, if you walk in the front door, would be on your right-hand side. That's not going to be seating area anymore for River City. That's going to be the artisan shop. I think their offices are still staying upstairs, correct? On the second floor? I don't know about the
not
offices.
sure.
Yeah, but I know the artisan center, the shop, the place where you go buy. They have like shirts that say Wheeling Pittsburgh Steel on them,
And that was, and I believe they sold out of Wheeling flags, but that was the only place you could go to get a Wheeling flag. Several years ago, City Council passed an ordinance where we basically had a group of volunteers that designed a new flag. City Council passed an ordinance or resolution making that the official city flag here in the city of Wheeling. And I know that gift shop, at one point in time, was the only place you could buy that flag.
yes, but they sell all kind of cool stuff.
Neat, really, neat little Wheeling knickknacks.
If you want to buy a unique gift for someone that maybe used to live in Wheeling and moved out of town or something, that's the place to go. They've
Absolutely.
got really cool. They also have like barbecue sauces and hot sauces
and
and
I will tell you,
books about Wheeling and
when we hosted the Municipal League conference last summer, I went to the Wheeling Artisan shop to see what types of Wheeling-centric items that we could include in the welcome bags for our guests. And there's everything from, locally made honey to beautiful glassware. And I mean, it's
Steel,
really, whether you want just a small gift or, something maybe a little more extravagant. I mean,
the Bigfoot looking steel things
yes,
you put in your yard.
yes. I mean, they really have a lot of locally, well, and not just locally, if I remember correctly. Some of the items that they had were from, maybe a regional scope. But definitely anyone who is looking for a unique gift, definitely check out the Artisan Center. Not too long ago, well, back around the holidays, a friend of mine who's from Pittsburgh, she and I had gone to the big crowd to the Artisan Center, and she had never been onto the second floor and was incredibly impressed with what was there. So it's definitely.
But it does. It's out of sight, out of mind.
Right.
I go in River City all the time for a decade and forever. I've been going to River City. You just never think about that store up
About
there.
going upstairs.
So they're going to move that down to the first floor. They have an agreement with Jason Miller and Becky at River City, and so that's neither here nor there. River City will kind of be cut in half, and the other one half will be the store, and the other side will still be the bar and the restaurant, and they'll still have their events. They'll still have weddings on the third floor, and the atrium. They can still set people in the atrium. So it's really not going to impact, I don't think, I'll speak for Jason, but I don't think it's going to impact too much. But it will be neat to have that store there, and their sales will have to have a positive impact.
I'm sure.
It's right there. Parking right across the street in the intermodal, and even people coming to Nailers games. I don't, if they're open, if at that time of evening, but anyone coming to the arena for anything, walk over there to to that artisan center, and there's a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we encourage people to check out that gift shop. It's exciting. That's going to be moving downstairs. It's going to be a little more visible, and then that's going to free up some space upstairs for office space. So they have a new business that's going to move into that. We're talking about playgrounds. I quickly want to give a plug to a lifelong buddy of mine, Adam Shinsky at the YMCA. When we're on the topic of playgrounds, I think it was July or August that they had the ribbon cutting ceremony for their new playground there in Elm Grove at the YMCA. I had the opportunity to go through that ribbon cutting. I was there with Councilman Dave Palmer, who represents Elm Grove. I know our county commissioners were there, Zach Abraham, Don Nickerson, Erica Storch from West Virginia House Delegates was there. But probably the most prominent guest there for that ribbon cutting ceremony was the governor of West Virginia, made an appearance, and probably even more popular than the governor, he brought Baby Dog.
Baby dog, yes.
So that was a really nice ribbon cutting ceremony, and that was the first time I was really, able to walk through that playground and take a look at it. That is probably the biggest, nicest playground, and it's been many years since I've actually tested out playground equipment, but it's probably the biggest, nicest, and probably one of the funnest playgrounds that I've ever seen in my life. So I give a lot of credit to Adam. I can remember being a kid and going to the YMCA, and Adam's my age, and we would play basketball together, and now he's the executive director leading the YMCA. I give a lot of credit to him. His board, I think Jamie Borders chairs that board, but they worked really hard for a number of years to raise money for that playground. It's a great asset to the community. So I want to give them a plug for that playground as we're on the topic of playgrounds. But Michelle, staying on a lighter note, you're working on some summer events for the city of Wheeling, movie nights, other things that take place at Heritageport. So what are you working on?
Yes, so we are working on a full schedule of our Waterfront Wednesdays, Toe Tapping Tuesdays, and Toe Tapping Tuesdays too. We are putting together a unique variety of music like we do every summer. And also we are putting together our movie nights. There will be 4 this year, starting in May, once a month through August. And we're going to do something a little bit different this year. The Heritageport, as we talked about just a few minutes ago, the events are numerous, and throughout the summer months, usually you cannot go a weekend without an event at Heritageport.
But I read on Facebook that there's nothing to do in downtown Wheeling.
Wow.
That's what I heard. That's what someone
There
told
may
me.
not be anything that those folks want to do in downtown Wheeling.
Oh,
but,
okay. I was just checking because that's what I read on the internet.
And if it's on the internet, it has
It's
to
gotta
be true, right?
Well, I read there's nothing to do down there except every day. I'm sorry, Michelle. Go
That's
ahead.
okay.
You
So
and your pink shoes.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I don't
I'm
want
sorry.
to have boring shoes.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So we got to the point over the last year or so that, we would end up having to relocate some of our movie nights that are typically held on Friday evenings to other parts of the city because of setups for fairs and festivals that were occurring at Heritageport. So we thought it might be interesting to try to take the movie nights into the neighborhoods at the city pools and incorporate them with some moonlight swims. And so there'll be more information to come in the very near future as we coordinate that activity with Parks and Rec.
All right, well, I hear the music coming on. That means the show's winding down. Thank you to my 2 all-star co-hosts, Michelle Rojanis and Dean Connors. You're listening, you're Wheeling, no two ways about it. We'll be back next week. Stay tuned into The Watchdog. Livy and Sonia are up next.